Hello and welcome back, fourth graders. Mr. Guyton here from College Park Elementary School with another lesson from the beach. Pretty sweet. Before we get started with today's lesson, it's important that we have a few things. Number one, you're going to need a nice sharpened pencil. Number two, you're going to want to make sure that pencil has an eraser on it. Yes, that's very, very, very important. Of course, you're going to need something to write on, so number three, we're going to need a notebook or notebook paper. Number four, we're going to need straws. That's right, today's lesson is going to involve some straws. So you're going to need 3 of them. They don't have to be red, as long as they are at least 8 inches long. 8 inches long for some straws. Whew. And of course, as always, we want to have some nice post-it notes so we can put our goals down. You see, for every lesson, it's important for us to start out by having a goal. So, just for today, I will try to see things in a new way. Specifically, I want to look at fractions in a new way. You see, if we look at things in life exactly the same over and over again, we're always doing things the same way, well, it tends to get a little boring, you know what I mean? So today, just for today, we're going to see things a new way. Whew. Not quite as sunny in here. Probably look pretty silly in this hat when I'm inside, huh? Maybe I should lose it. And the glasses? Yeah, I probably don't need those either. Whew. That's more like it. So the last time we talked about equivalent fractions, being fractions that look completely different but are actually the same thing. For example, we might have 2/4 and 1/2. They look different, 2/4 and 1/2, but they're exactly the same thing because 2 is half of 4. Well, today the spirit of things is to try to look at something from a different perspective. So why don't we start with equivalent fractions? Seems like the natural next step. Come on, let's go. The last time we worked with equivalent fractions, we drew some pictures for examples. That way we could see that 1/2 equals 2/4, which equals 4/8, and so on. But wouldn't it be nice to be able to see these equivalent fractions side by side? Well, that's what we're going to do today. To get started, you're going to need 3 straws. They can be any ordinary straws, so long as they're at least 8 inches long. You're also going to need a ruler, because we're going to make a few measurements. You're going to need a pair of scissors, and of course, something to write on. To start, we're going to take one of our straws, and we're going to line it up on our ruler here. And you'll see mine is exactly 8 inches long. Now I want to take this opportunity to show you something about your ruler. If I take my ruler here and I leave it in the same spot, but then I take my straw and I put it right about there, how long is my straw? Well, some people would say 9 inches. But did the straw actually change length? No. It's the same straw, it's just when I start counting from 0, it's obvious that it's 8 inches long. But if I start counting from anywhere else, this end number is going to change. The length of the straw does not. It's still 8 inches long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 inches long. Okay? It's important to keep that in mind. So we're going to take our ruler and our straw, we're going to line them up so that we have our 8 inches. It's very clear to see. We're going to divide this first straw into halves. So I need to know what half of 8 is. Well, 4. So I'm going to go ahead and make a little mark here at 4. And then I'm going to take my straw and I'm going to cut it. So now I have 2 smaller straws, each one 4 inches long. And I'm going to label these 1/2. Now this works best if you have a Sharpie. I have actually pre-marked mine with white Sharpie so you can see it here. Okay, so I've marked them 1/2 and 1/2. Now this one, of course, I haven't cut, so let's go ahead and do that now. Go ahead and cut that one right on the line. Okay, for now I'll set them over here by the chocolate chips. Then I'm going to take my next straw and I'm going to line it up here at 8 inches. Okay. Now this time I want to divide it up into 4 equal parts. So I'm going to take the number 8 and divide it by 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So I'm going to mark every 2 inches. It's important to keep your straw in the same exact spot. So I'm going to hold it, I'm going to anchor it down here, and I'm going to mark one section, which is at the 2 inches mark, then another 1, 2, then at 4, and another 1, 2, which is 6, and then I don't need to do one for 8 because it's already cut there. So in other words, I have 2, 4, 6, and then 8 over here, which gives me 1, 2, 3, 4 equal sections. Now again, I did this with a white Sharpie, so you can see I've divided it up into fourths. Okay? All that's left to do now is to cut them. I'm going to come through here, give a little careful snip, cut again, and my last cut. So now I've taken that 8-inch straw and I've divided it up into fourths. Okay, for our last step, we're going to take our straw and we're going to mark it every inch. So I've done this one ahead of time. And because I'm dividing it up into 8 equal parts, each one represents 1/8. So I'm going to go ahead and mark those and cut those. Now there's a faster way to cut these. We could double it up and cut them, but just for the sake of precision, I'm going to cut each one individually. I'm going to do it very carefully because I can't uncut it once I've cut it, right? Okay. And the last one. I'm going to move my ruler out of the way for now. And now we can demonstrate. We can make our 1/2 plus 1/2 equal 1/2, but we can also figure out some equivalencies. So our 1/2 is going to be exactly the same as 1 2/4. It's also going to be the same as 1 2 3 4/8. 1/2 is equivalent to 4/8. And you can play around with the different combinations. You can mix and match. So we could say something like 1/8 plus 1/8. Sorry, I should probably flip this one around. 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/4 equals 1/2. So play around with it yourself and see what you can come up with. So there you have it. Although equivalent fractions might look different, they're actually exactly the same thing. Pretty cool, huh? For all the 4th grade teachers at College Park, I'm Mr. Guyton. See ya.